Hello friends, and welcome to this video, which is going to go through a 3-needle bind off. Do not be afraid. It's actually quite simple once you get the hang of it, but it seems a bit overwhelming because we're introducing quite a lot of needles going on. So you will have finished with your last row of stitches still on your needles, so on both sides. So what we're going to be doing here is a shoulder seam. So the number one thing that we need to remember when we're doing a 3-needle bind off is that we want the right sides to be together, facing each other, sandwiched together. So you want to see the wrong side on the outside. So for this one, the purl side is the wrong side and the knit stitch side is the right side. So the two knit stitches are going to sandwich together. Then what you want to do is you want to line up your two needles so that they're pointing the same way and so that your stitches are aligned. So you could be doing this on any set of needles or style of needles. I've got my circular needles because that is what I was working with, but I'm using them as straight needles here. So you need to have your stitches lined up, your needles pointing the same way, and then you need to introduce a third needle. So again, this could be this could be a straight needle, a circular needle, it could be the same width needle, or this one's slightly smaller. I wouldn't use one that's dramatically smaller, but that's my 15 mils and these are my 12 mils, and that's going to be totally okay. All right, so when we do a normal bind off, we obviously only are using one loop of our one stitch at a time, but a 3-needle bind off, what we're essentially doing is knitting a row, knitting these two together and casting off and binding off, casting off, same but different, at the same time. So we're knitting and casting off at the same time. So seaming off and casting at the seaming and casting off at the same time, excuse me. So we are going to start here. This is not my tail. Sorry, that looks a bit confusing because that looks like a tail. Here's my tail. So I cut a nice long tail when I did my last row. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting this new needle, this 3rd needle, through the front of the stitch on my first needle and the front loop of the stitch on my back needle. So this one, not through both on this needle, just through the front loop on the front needle and just through the front loop on the back needle. Then I'm going to be getting my tail and I'm going to knit just like normal. So loop it through and then you'll bring it through both stitches and cast them off. Okay, so again we go through the front stitch, just one loop, and just one loop of the back stitch of the back needle. We're going to do our normal knit, looping and bring it both through them, and then we toss both of them off the cliff. Now here's where we start seaming and binding off at the same time. So on a normal cast off stitch you do 2 knit stitches and then you cast one off. So this is the same here. The only thing that's different is we've gone through both needles stitches at the same time to seam before we do our cast off. So for a cast off you always need 2 stitches on your needle. So in order to cast off, you take the stitch that is closest to your hand and you're bringing it up and over the other stitch and off the needle. So I'll just reverse that. So to cast off, you always need 2 stitches on your needle, and then you're going to take the stitch closest to your hand, bring it up and over the other stitch. You might need to hold some tension here with your finger so the other stitch doesn't slip off, and off the needle. Okay, so in order to do our next cast off stitch we need one more stitch on this needle because we always need 2 stitches on the needle. So let's go again. We go through the front loop of the front needle, the front loop of the back needle, we do a knit stitch, pull it through both, chuck them both off, and now we have 2 on our needle. We can bring this one up that's closest to my finger, up and over and off that needle, keeping tension so you don't lose that stitch. Now we've only got one, so we need to add another stitch on. So we do another of our seaming stitches through the front loop of the front one, through the front loop of the back one, a regular knit stitch, pull them through. You can always shimmy them up the needle, kind of need to be doing that, and off. Now we've got our 2 stitches on here. We can choose the one closest to our fingers, bring it up and over, making sure the other one doesn't fall off, and release. So again, we've only got 1, so we keep going down the row, doing a seaming knit stitch first, so through the front loop, knitting, throwing them off until we've got 2 on here. Then we do our cast off, so it becomes quite methodical. We've only got 1, so we need another. So we go through front loop, do a knit, pull it through, chuck them off. Now we've got 2 here, we can do a cast off. Now we've only got 1, which means we go and need to get another one. So we go front loop, knit that, chuck them both off, and then up and over. And we continue this till the end, and I'm going to do that so I can show you. So if you need to shimmy your needles, always do that because it makes it a lot easier. Throw them both off. Now I've got 2 to cast off. There we go. Through the front, knit them both, throw them both off. Now I've got 2 on here, which means we can cast off. 1, chuck them both off. Now I've got 2 on here, so we can cast it off. I've got, luckily we've got the same amount of stitches on each needle. That would have been embarrassing if not. Okay, and we're coming to our final ones. Oh, so if they kind of fall out, you might just need to hold if it's not that tight there. And then we're gonna chuck him off. We're coming to our final stitches. Okay, so I've got 2 there. Now this will be our last one. So this one, we want to make sure, there we go. And now we've lost those 2 needles. So now we're actually just doing a regular cast off for the final one. And then you will still take that off the needle to put your finger in so that you can do a tie. So then you get this tail that you have, push it through and pull the rest of the thing, and then we tie a knot. So what you'll see here is what we have done is we have seamed our shoulder seam whilst binding off at the same time, which is pretty cool really. So you've kind of skipped a step and we have a lovely invisible seam on that side. So you will have a tail from the other kind of row that you didn't use for the tail. So what I like to do is just tie that off like that, or I like to tie it off then weave in the ends, but you can just weave in the ends if you're not someone who likes tying. So then I'll chop those shorter, don't have scissors here, chop those shorter and weave in those ends. But that is a 3 needle bind off for a lovely shoulder seam. Enjoy!